Hello student, today we are going to start a new chapter that is called the cell structure, the unit of life. Now I think you have heard already the meaning of cell. Okay. Here in this topic, let's try to understand, because cell is the basic unit of life. Every living organisms, okay, maybe plants, animals, or microorganism, okay, it can be anything that have life. It's because of cell. Now you know that cell has a membrane bond. They have a membrane, and they have a cytoplasm, okay, and then they have a different kinds of organelles. Now it was structurally, if you say structurally, they have a membrane bond, okay, and if you say functionally, they have a different kinds of different organelles present inside the cell. It was a Robert Hooke. He observed the cell. He was the first person to observe the cell, but he observed dead cells, okay, dead cells. He observed the core, okay, but later it was found that it is a dead cell. Later on, another scientist came to know as Anton von Leeuwenhoek. He had seen the live cells and he had discussed what cell is all about, okay. It was live cells. So it was Anton von Leeuwenhoek after Robert Hooke. Then later on, as research keep on going on, another scientist came to be known as the Robert Brown, who had discovered the nucleus, that the cell has a nucleus. If this is our cell, then there is a nucleus. So he said that there is a nucleus. Then later on, a new theory, okay, a cell theory was forwarded by Sladen and Swan. Okay. Now what these scientists from Robert Hooke, Anton von Leeuwenhoek, Robert Brown, and later on the final postulates that came to be known as the cell theory, which was forwarded by Sladen and Swan in 1839. Let's try to discuss some of the points that they had explained. The first point was all the living organisms, okay, they are made up of either one or single cells or many cells. So the first point is very important, okay. Now when I say single, you can say as unicellular. So if any organism, they are made up of single cells, they are said to be unicellular. Like if you say like unicellular, you can take an example of bacteria, okay. Many cells, you can say as multicellular. Means made up of many cells, multicellular. You can take an example of plants, animals, okay, since they are made up of many cells. So the first point, the first postulate is that, and cell is considered as the basic unit of life, okay. If there is a cell, there will be a life. But the next important point is that all the cell will undergo division. Cell will undergo division. Division means multiplication, okay. All the cell, it can be single cell, okay, or it can be multicellular cells, they will undergo division. And it means that when they undergo division, the new existing cells, okay, cell will undergo divisions, and all the new cells arises due to pre-existing cells. It means that no new cells no new cells can be formed if there is no existing cells. If one cell exists, another two that has been evolved, it will be because of the old cells. Okay. So these are the two important points, the postulates, which was given by the Sladen and Swant, the postulates of the cell theory. Now, in a short, let's try to discuss. These are the basic concepts that you have to know, and I know that you have already discussed, you have already learned in your lower classes. That is prokaryotes and eukaryotic cells. So let's try to see some of the basic differences between prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells. Point number one, if you see the size of the cell, okay, it will be small as compared to eukaryotic cells. The size of the cell will be small. And if I say small, usually around it is 0.1 to 0.5, okay, micrometer. And there will be only one nuclear, one envelope organization. One envelope organization. Okay. Now in eukaryotic cells, you will see that the cell is large in size. It's be around 5 to 100 micrometer. Okay. And it will be two envelope organization. Point number two, in prokaryotic cells, there will be, the nucleus is not well defined. Okay, when I say well defined, there will be no nuclear envelope. Okay, so nucleus is not well defined. It means that when I say well defined, it is not well organized. Okay, it is not well defined. Here in eukaryotes, it is said to be true nucleus. When I say true nucleus, it means they have a well-defined nucleus. Well-defined or organized. Well-defined or well-organized nucleus. It means that they have a nuclear envelope, okay, and they have a chromatin fibers, okay. The third point is DNA is naked. In case of prokaryotes, you will find that the DNA is naked. Now what does it mean? It means that in the cytoplasm of a prokaryotic cells, there will be a DNA, but the DNA will not associate with histone. Okay? Without the association of histone. For example, if this is your prokaryotic cells, then there will be a DNA. Let's say that this is your DNA, but there will be no histone. Instead of that, you will find nucleoid. Now what is histone? Histone is a protein. It's a basic protein, okay? Basic protein. Now in case of eukaryotic cells, if you compare with the eukaryotic cells, your DNA or your nuclear DNA. Now what is nuclear DNA? Nuclear DNA means the DNA that is found inside the nucleus. If this is your eukaryotic cells, inside the nucleus you found your DNA. So this will be considered as nuclear DNA, the DNA that is found inside the nucleus. Now this nuclear DNA will be an association, means they will be found associating with histone protein. and we call that as nucleosome. Nucleosome. This will not be observed in the case of prokaryotic cells. In prokaryotic cells, you find an extracircular DNA. Okay. In case of prokaryotic cells, you will find extracircular DNA, and that is called your plasmid. If you see in eukaryotic cells, plasmid will not form. Okay. Absence of plasmid. Now, what is this plasmid? You can see that I have already made one diagram. Now, you can see that it's a circular, it's a double-stranded, it's not a single, but it's a double-stranded. Double-stranded. Okay, this question was asked in your competitive examinations also. Plasmid is a double-stranded, circular, extracircular DNA that is found in the prokaryotic cells, not in eukaryotes. The fifth point is based on the cell organelles. If you see endoplasmic reticulum, okay, mitochondria, Golgi apparatus, lysosome, centrole are absent. So in prokaryotic cells, you don't find these cell organelles. These cell organelles are absent in prokaryotic cells. In eukaryotic cells, you will find all these cell organelles are present. But especially centrole, okay? Centroles will found in animal cells. In animal cells. So you can take an example of bacteria in the case of prokaryotic cells. In the case of eukaryotic cells, you can take an example of animals and plant cells. So even just say that endoplasmic reticulum, mitochondria, okay, and then Golgi apparatus, even lysosome, okay, are present in the case of eukaryotic cells. Now let's discuss some of the basic differences between plant cells and animal cells, which you have already learned in the lower classes. Now, you know that the plant cells have a cell wall, right? So they have a rigid cell wall. So in animal cells, you don't find cell wall. Then, what is there? You will find a plasma membrane, right? Plasma membrane. Point number 2. Now, in the plant cells, if you see a plant cells, you'll find that the cell, the structure of the cell, okay, the vacuole, there will be a very large vacuole, okay, large vacuole, which occupy almost all the parts of the cytoplasm. So this is very important, okay, large vacuole in the case of plant cells. Now in the case of animal cells, you find that there are many vacuoles, okay, but small, many small vacuoles. The third point, you can see that the plastid, okay, you will find the plastid is present in the case of plant cells. In the case of animal cells, plastid is absent. Now, as I discussed already, that in the case of plant cells, centroid. Centroid is absent. But you will find in the case of lower plants, okay? Case of lower plants. As I said already that centrioles are present in animal cells. Now this is very important cell organelle, okay, which will be needed in the cell cycle. Present in animal cells. So these are some of the basic differences of the plant cells and animal cells. In the next class, we're going to discuss about the different kind of cell organelles that is found in plant cells or animal cells with their functions. Thank you.